Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I am Alexis from the UCLA Career Center. Welcome to Level Up, Skills Employers Want and How to Develop Them Now. Yes, this event is being recorded. So if at any point you have to go, you'll be able to have access to the recording. I will also send out this deck along with links to the bajillion resources that I'm going to share with you today. Okay, so once again, hi, I am Alexis Rampal. My pronouns are she, her. I am the Internships and Talent Development Manager at the UCLA Career Center. Please do connect with me on LinkedIn. I love seeing all of your updates. I'm happy to connect with you via messaging on there anytime. Sophia, great question in the chat. So the Career Center has pretty much since COVID and everyone went remote, we have begun recording pretty much every single event that we do. And then usually within about a week, all of those recordings get uploaded to our YouTube channel. And so what you can also expect from me, along with the deck and links to resources I discuss, will be a follow-up email with all that information that also includes the link to our YouTube channel. So made it real easy for you. Also, and again, thank you for those of you that are utilizing the chat. That is where I would like any of our questions or comments to go. I'm not going to be looking at the Q&A function of Zoom today. It's just me, so I don't want to have too many little windows open. So yeah, please throw questions into the chat. I will do my best to get to them if they're relatively quick. I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to get through this content. I'm going to try and zoom through it. And hopefully we'll have like even more time for questions at the end. Okay, so before we do get started, I would love to hear from folks in the chat. Just let me know where are you? Where are you zooming in from? What year are you? What's your major? Just anything like that. I'd love to see from folks. And I'm in Austin, by the way, so it's 3:00 p.m. for me. Atlanta, all right, hi Abby. Callie's holding it down on Westwood. Bay Area, okay, Paramount, California. Hi everybody. Masters, hey, good. I love seeing master's students in my events. It's fantastic. All right, we'll keep on sharing where you're zooming in from. I think it's fun for us all to see. I love to see the mixture of locations and class levels and majors. So welcome everybody, thank you for joining me. I sincerely hope that you find the information that I share with you today helpful. I think it is. Okay, so as promised in the event description, this is what we're going to be talking about today. I am definitely going to be sharing with you information on the skills that employers are looking for, both right now and in the future. We're going to briefly just talk about mindset, tips and tricks and tactics that will help you to navigate just ongoing uncertainty. We will go over a few tips on how to determine which skills you should be focusing on. I'm going to highlight 3 free and virtual skill development resources that look good on your resume and on LinkedIn. And we'll go over a little bit of guidance about, okay, so I did these things, like how do I showcase them on my resume and on LinkedIn? So first things first, I want to keep us all engaged. So I would love again for us to utilize the chat. I just want to hear from you. What do you think? What are skills you think employers generally look for in any college graduate? Let me know what you think in the chat. Okay, research. willingness to learn, team mindset, teamwork. You guys know what I'm going to talk about soon. Working independently, self-motivated, experience in the field. Okay. Great, 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 great. Okay, so we are all on the right track. I just thought it would be fun for us to hear from other folks what we think. Okay, so I'm going to go over 2 lists of skills that employers are looking for. The first one, these are called the NACE Career Readiness Competencies. NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers, and it is a professional association where companies that are looking to recruit early talent is you, early talent is university students, graduate students, folks that are maybe 1 to 3 years out in their career from college. And so basically, it's a professional association of those employers who are looking to recruit early talent, plus universities, especially their career centers. And they actually recently updated this list like last week. I was so excited to see the update with this list of 8, what they call career readiness competencies, but it's essentially a list of 8 skills that employers are looking for. And so here they are. I think what we're seeing is what you said in the chat is reflected here. So gold stars all around to everyone. Do not even try and read everything here, but these are the definitions of each of those 8 competencies. I am absolutely going to send a link to this so you can dig in. The one thing that I really like about this updated list is that not only did they make some changes, so for example, there used to be something called global and intercultural fluency. It's now equity and inclusion. They made the definitions simpler to understand, and there's also some sample behaviors. So if you're like, okay, how do I know that I have this, or how would I go about demonstrating this? Well, they have given some examples for every single one of these. And why does this matter, or why should you trust this? This is a result of considerable research and testing, and includes the feedback of over 300 members of NACE's professional association. Okay, and so here's a cool data bite that came out of NACE. Again, their my chat is covering the job outlook for 2021, their spring update. And so here's where you can see some of those skills even broken out from even within those 8 as far as how important are they, or how much do employers like to see these on student and candidate resumes. Food for thought. Teamwork is right up there at the top. Okay, so next, again, let's use the chat. I want to hear from you all. What are some skills that you think employers will be looking for in the next few years? Ooh, Emily, you're so good. The ability to adapt to a new situation quickly. Technologically efficient, adaptability, computer competency, more technology focused, ability to manage oneself. Did y'all see my deck before this? No, this is absolutely fantastic, and you are all right on. I'm excited about that. I'm glad nothing's going to be super surprising to you. All right, so let's look at what these are. Okay, so according to the World Economic Forum and their Future of Jobs report 2020, this list on the side are the top 10 skills of 2025. And so the content here on the slide says that the skill gaps will remain high as in-demand skills across jobs change in the next 5 years. Also that here are the top skills or skill groups that employers see kind of like rising up to the top leading up to 2025. And so again, you all are right on, good for you. Critical thinking and analysis, problem solving, and self-management, which you all hit in different ways. So that includes active learning, resilience, being able to tolerate stress, and flexibility. So absolutely some of this adaptability, ability to manage oneself, you were all right on. And I think there was someone in the chat who said, oh yes, Emily, the ability to adapt to a new situation quickly because of COVID. And so that's exactly it. Like, it's so interesting that COVID sort of accelerated things that were already happening, but absolutely, as you can see on this first graphic, COVID has been pushing companies to do a lot of things. And so what you see here is that, wow, remote work, 83%. To accelerate digitalization, 84%. A great example is the Career Center. Like, we were not recording and uploading our events to YouTube before COVID, but it was always something we talked about doing. So we're a great example of that. And also to accelerate automation, 50%. And so Emily says, COVID really alienated people who aren't tech savvy, I bet. Yes. And unfortunately, what we are going to see is a divide, an increasing divide between those who have access and are being made aware of information like this, and those who have that access and are aware. And so, side note, I'm really hoping that along with all this change comes increasing awareness of that divide, and that there is a lot of effort done to make sure that folks aren't left behind. And so this graphic on the other side, this 97 million, 85 million, basically what we're seeing is an example of some of the jobs that are going to decrease in demand due to the rise of automation. So these are the jobs that folks were doing, like human people were doing, that are going to be replaced by automation. And then at the top in the blue, these are some of the jobs that we're going to see rise up in response to the change in what we are all doing in our jobs. Okay. So yeah, back again to that reaction to COVID and the rise of automation, and then also thinking back to those top 10 skills of 2025. Why do you all think that employers are saying, hey, these are the top 10 skills, these are the skill areas that we are going to be looking for? And they kind of fall into these 4 areas: technical, cognitive, social, and emotional. Why do you all think that this is important or this is being emphasized? Let me know what you think in the chat. Did I stump you? So I'll go ahead and let you know what I think and what I've seen out in the literature and the research. Ooh, wait, we've got some responses. So Callie said, because you need to be more self-reliant in a digital workplace and manage these areas. Ooh, Callie, super good question. I'm just going to repeat the question really quickly for Emily and anyone else, but I just wanted to know what you think. Why do you think that those top 10 skills of 2025, especially in these areas of technical, cognitive, social, and emotional, are the ones that are being emphasized by employers as the skills they're going to be looking for in the future? And so going back to what Callie wrote in the chat, which is because you need to be more self-reliant in a digital workplace and manage these areas. Like, wow, Callie, right on. Absolutely. And so great, technical skills or being more technically savvy in a remote or digital workplace. Well, if that's where the world of work is going, then we need to be adept in that space. And we also, if there is an increase in automation, well, who is creating that automation? Who's building those products that's actually enabling other folks to use and adopt and create automated processes? People are. And so definitely we need to be using our uniquely human skills to become savvy in this future of workplace where a lot of these more transactional type roles and functions are just being, as we've seen, replaced by automation. And so we need to rely on our creativity, our ideas, our strategic thinking, our innovation, and our excitement to use technology and create technology to continue this progress. And so Emily is saying, I think if automation is increased, there's more responsibility put on a person as we lose more human contact with each other. I mean, definitely. So if, for example, and I'm just going to use a career center as a great example, like you use Handshake now to book your appointments, and you use Zoom now to connect with us in those appointments. Instead of, for example, coming into our office and talking to someone at the front desk and maybe them looking at a calendar and penciling you in. And so some of those tasks are now taken over, right, by automation. And so when we are having those in-person connections, there is more responsibility because it's up until that point until someone's had human contact, right? And so they may be really excited about that. They may be frustrated, and so you don't know maybe what you're getting. The other thing is that hopefully what this also enables is more quality interaction and engagements. Okay. And then yes, Emily, absolutely. Sort of like those waiter, no cashier restaurants, that's all relying on the consumer to adapt. Yeah, so who knows what's going to happen? I mean, we're seeing everything from robot dogs getting rolled out in New York. And what I've also seen is that some of this is happening so quickly that things like laws and public education awareness is having to race to catch up as technology is advancing so quickly. So it's just very interesting. Yeah, it's just very interesting what's going on, right? Definitely, we're in a cyberpunk dystopian reality with all the good and the bad that may bring. Okay. So now that we have looked at both the NACE career readiness competencies, so that list of 8, and then the World Economic Forum skills list, just want to again hear from you all in the chat. Did you see anything that's different? Did anything stand out? Did anything surprise you? Any of that, I'd love to hear what you think. Milan says, being able to understand and work with data. Was that something that stood out to you or something that surprised you? Or just something you're happy to see because you expected it? It stood out and you're happy to see. Great. Yeah, so I think, and kind of like the whole point of me asking your reaction to this is that I don't think any of these are kind of coming anywhere out of left field. They're things that like we wouldn't have expected to see. I also like that the World Economic Forum skills of 2025 aren't drastically different from NACE's. So it's not like there's going to be this giant surprise of all of a sudden we're looking for these skills no one's heard of. And hopefully that provides you with a little bit of comfort, especially as going back to when I asked you what you thought these skills might be, a lot of you suggested skills that were on these lists. So hopefully we're all feeling a little bit better, especially if you were maybe coming to this event expecting maybe, oh my gosh, I don't have these things, or oh, I've never heard of these things, or oh my gosh, like this is going to cause me more anxiety. Hopefully it's just not. And then some comments in the chat. Nothing surprised me. I feel like tech's on the rise. I mean, we all use it. We're using it right now. We're using Zoom to communicate. I have become a lot more confident, for an example, as a public speaker, just because I kind of like this format. I love presenting from my home. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what major you're in or what industry you're going into, you're going to use tech of some way, shape, or form. And I love this comment from Emily about, I'm an English major, I don't know how to code or do math. Like, going back to the fact that technology, use of technology, the ability to manipulate it, create it, innovate it, and like strategically use it and improve how we use it, like none of that means that you, Emily, English major, need to know how to code. It just means you need to be open to learning how to use it, becoming comfortable with it, maybe showing others how to use it. And then as your comfort and expertise grows, then you're like, okay, I'm getting creative. Like, have we tried this? And if you're more on the tech side of it, well, then you're creating it, you're optimizing it, you're improving it, you're building it, you're marketing it, you're growing your own company. So tech is everywhere, but how we engage with it varies across our interests, skills, and the jobs and functions that we perform. But yes, we all are going to be using tech if we're not already in some way, shape, or form in our roles. I don't think there's any escaping that. Okay, and Callie says, I feel like COVID has also really required us all to improve critical thinking skills as we change things up. So that's nice. I agree. A lot of COVID has sucked, but there's also been this great opportunity to, well, kind of like forced us to do things differently, right? And some of these things are fantastic. Like, I love working remotely because I gain so much time back from my commute. And I also get to engage with more folks because I get to present like this versus setting a day and time at the physical career center and expecting y'all to come at a certain day or time. And then if you didn't get to attend that event, well, then that's just it. Now we get to record it, I get to upload it, and anyone can watch it. So definitely have been loving these opportunities. And then a couple more comments. Remote work is a money saver for transportation. That's right. Okay, Emily's bringing the humor, not the same for our thighs. Yes, definitely need to remember to move around, get those steps in and exercise, simply because when we were all going to campus or going to work, like there did involve some actual physical movement, right? Like we had to walk to classes, we had to hike up and down the dance steps, etc. So absolutely, with the pros come the cons, including the fact that we all need to be a little bit more mindful about our physical fitness. Lita, welcome. I'm so glad you're able to join us. Absolutely, this is recording and it will be sent out and accessible in about a week, but I'll send everyone a follow-up email with that information. You are very welcome. Okay. Catherine, regarding technology, what common programs, apps, or software are in high demand for employers? So what I'm going to say is that is absolutely going to vary depending upon the industry and the role. And so when you are doing your research, which I'm going to encourage you to do, when you're looking at, for example, position descriptions, they will absolutely say, we are looking for folks who are comfortable with this or who have experience using that. And they will list out explicitly what those are. And that'll be a great clue to you to know, ooh, okay, if I don't have this, do I have something similar? If I don't have this at all, I need to go figure out how I'm going to get experience doing that, including some of the resources that we're going to go over later. Okay, so let's talk about this navigating ongoing change. So fun. When anyone asks you how you're doing, you're probably like, I'm fine, but you're not fine, or you're fine today, but you're not fine tomorrow. So what I want to encourage us all to do is to absolutely just focus on what you can control. Like there's that saying, and it's absolutely true, the only constant is change. We're just in a particularly accelerated and somewhat more chaotic feeling period of change, just due to the fact that COVID sort of like accelerated it, right? So let's talk about your mindset. That's stuff that you're doing in your head and how you think and perceive and react and respond to things. And so first of all, I absolutely want to encourage us all to practice acceptance and make space between the reaction to something that may be frustrating that's outside of our control, and acknowledging and accepting that I can't control this. I can't control COVID. I can't control what's happening, but what I can control is how I react to it, how I respond to it, and what I do for myself. Okay, so practice some acceptance. Cultivate curiosity. which you're already doing by coming to this event and learning. So just keep that curiosity sharp. It's only going to help you, especially if you go back and think about some of those skills that we went over, those self-management, and taking advantage of self-learning and being adaptable and being open to new things, including technology. Be curious versus like what we've heard of as like a fixed mindset, right? I've always done it like this, or I've never heard of that, or this is what we did at the last place. That's not going to help you in the future of work. Okay. So I think I kind of already hit on this, but absolutely, let's all adopt a lifelong learning approach. We're not done once we graduate. We're not done after a master's degree. We're not done once we get that first job. There's always something to learn and ways for us to grow. And if we do this, we will be able to navigate this change like a cool cucumber. One tip from me to you is please do include self-care in your professional development and search process. So if you, for example, are blocking off your calendar and you're like, I'm going to work on my job search or my professional development for 6 hours a week, and I'm going to go to school and I'm going to work this job and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. If you're not also factoring in time for self-care, you're going to hit a wall and you're going to burn out. Versus if you factor this into the whole pie of everything you're doing, you're going to be able to stay resilient. You're going to be able to keep an open mindset and practice all of these things that we've gone over. So if there's one thing I can emphasize, it's absolutely that, because I'm living it. Self-care is so important. Okay, so I'm just going to go back into the chat and see if there's anything that I've missed. So Catherine asks, what advice do you have for graduates who don't feel as though they aren't prepared for the particular jobs they are interested in? Catherine, that's a big question. I'm going to go over a couple of things that I would recommend towards the end, but real quick, I just want to affirm that it may just be how you're feeling versus what's true and real. And so talk to people, process how you're feeling, and stand in confidence with who you are and what your experience is and your background and what your value is. On the more like realistic, less fluffy side, I might say, if you don't feel prepared and you actually are not, then again, focus on what you can control, identify what those gaps are, make yourself a to-do list and get to work. Okay, get to work on this. Okay, so going over to tactics. And again, I think this kind of addresses, Catherine, your question. Definitely take advantage of the resources that are available to you, especially the myriad of resources that are available to you as a UCLA student, especially those that are offered by the Career Center, of which a few I'm going to definitely highlight today. Do your research. As I mentioned, going back to the question about, well, how do we know like what software, for example, an employer might be looking for? Like, start doing your research. If there's a company or a type of job that you're interested in doing, go on LinkedIn, go follow that company, go look at the people under LinkedIn, look at their profiles and see like what's there, what did they do, what certifications do they have. That gives you information into what you might need to do. The same goes to any of those job descriptions. They're basically telling you, hey, this is what we're looking for. So now you've got all the information you need to figure out what you need to do. Okay. Lean into virtual networking. I don't think that even like post-COVID, we're all ever fully going to go back to just in person. And so virtual networking just means connecting, just not in person, right? So instead of doing an in-person coffee chat or an in-person informational interview, you are doing that via Zoom or via phone. And so definitely folks are still open to doing that. I think a lot of us find it more convenient because we don't have to factor in maybe going to meet someone at a coffee shop, or for us that are requesting it, we don't have to get to the place where we're supposed to be doing this. And so just want to emphasize that networking is so crucial, both to learn, right? Like what's changing, what's trending, what skills do I need? Do you have any advice for me? But also to get your foot in the door to grow your network, so that when you are ready to apply, you've got champions. Okay. I'm just going to go back to the chat really quick and see if there's anything that I missed. And Emily asks, I am curious, are there any warning signs we should look out for in case a work environment might be toxic? Oh man, I was a zinger. I think that a couple of ways that you can find that out or look into that is looking at turnover. So I'm a fan of resources like Glassdoor. That is where folks who work for companies can post their anonymous reviews of their experience, both as candidates and as employees. And so you can see some very transparent commentary on some of the things that Emily is bringing up. So for example, as a candidate, how are they treated? And also, for example, as staff, how are they treated? How has the company handled change? How transparent are they? How much do they trust leadership? How inclusive is their culture if they're just saying that they value diversity and inclusion, but it's just reflected in certain positions or in their junior talent and it's not reflected in leadership? Then if that's something you value, you can clearly see some of that, right? And so I might say, okay, so Emily's saying, such as anything that may come up in an interview that comes across as odd. Go with your gut is what I'm going to say. If something came across as odd to you, process it, talk to other people, see what they think. I'm just such a fan of honoring your gut feeling and getting advice and feedback from folks. And then also like take advantage of the UCLA Career Center. Make an appointment to process maybe a interview experience that you had. Folks may be able to offer you a different perspective or insight that you might not have considered. For example, you might have attended an interview that was maybe a first round and you were super prepared. However, they started it late. They asked you a lot of questions and didn't leave much time for you at the end. Their faces were very neutral and didn't seem very friendly. You have no idea what might have been going on the back end, but from your perspective, that was a terrible experience. They were late, they didn't leave any time for you, they weren't very friendly. And so again, maybe just using someone as a sounding board to go, hey, maybe something crazy was going on, like their person is at home taking care of their kids and they just had to all of a sudden get on this interview and something was going on. The questions, maybe someone made that list of questions for them and said, you have to go through all these questions. You have to ask all the candidates the same amount of questions. And that left the person who was running the interview with this thing that they had to do that they didn't have a lot of input on. The neutral face, maybe someone like got their COVID shot the day before and they are not feeling good. We just don't know. And so my inclination is to say process, go with your gut, talk to other people to get other perspectives and do some research. Look things up like Glassdoor, just so you can see, okay, is this something that other folks are sharing and communicating out there? That might help you sort of decide, what am I going to do next? Okay. Indeed has employee reviews as well. Good to know. Thank you for sharing. Okay. All right, so let's talk about how we can all future-proof our careers. And so I've got some words here: skilling, upskilling, reskilling, skilling. It is everywhere. And again, going back to that information from the World Economic Forum and the top 10 skills and the rise of automation. So with this sort of like changes in how we work and who and what does the work, obviously there's going to be skill shifts, new skills needed, skills that don't even exist now that will come into existence. And so they're all pretty much the same. It just means like being a lifelong learner and always being open to learning. and focusing on how and when can you take advantage of opportunities to learn no matter where you're at. So when I hear skilling or pre-skilling, that's what you're doing right now. So you're in school, you're in an internship, you're in a grad program, you are working on a project, you are developing skills. So you're just accumulating skills, skilling. Upskilling is when maybe you're in a job and you want a promotion, or they're shifting what your team does or what your part of the company does. And they're saying, we're going to need folks to do this now. And you're like, I kind of know a little bit of this, but I want to get to the next level. That's upskilling. So if you're like maybe an Excel, like basics or beginner, and you want to be Excel advanced, you're just going to upskill your Excel proficiency. And then reskilling has to do with big shifts, right? And so I used to do this, I want to do this. What do I need to do to get from here to here? That's reskilling, okay? And so absolutely, this is stuff, learning that someone or something that we all should be doing and we can do. And I just wanted to emphasize, you are all already doing this, okay? Okay, so let's get some more engagement in the chat because I just talked a lot at you. I would love to hear from folks in the chat. What are ways to develop skills that can go on your resume? What do you think? Eden says certifications. Sarah says ditto. Okay, absolutely. What else? LinkedIn, yep. So LinkedIn has courses. So that's like e-learning where you can get some of these certifications. What else do y'all think? Talking to me. Definitely talking to me is where I can offer you advice on where you can go and how you can develop these skills, but you're not going to put that on your resume. Project work, absolutely. Okay, so this is a good list. Let me see what else. Callie says, asking a boss manager to take on new roles and branch out. Yes, so absolutely. While you wouldn't like say, I took on new roles as like a separate resume entry, it absolutely can be part of your bullet points and can be part of storytelling when you are interviewing. So definitely, Callie, I love the nuance of that response, that taking on new roles and projects also provides you opportunities to learn. Again, so the skilling, the upskilling, the reskilling, that's a great way to do it is in your current role. Okay, Emily says a portfolio. Vicky says attending workshops through LinkedIn and or through the library. Yeah, so workshops, we may not put on a resume unless you maybe like achieved something from it or you contributed to it. So maybe if you're a presenter or you facilitate something, you develop the content, say for like part of like a conference, or you attended a training that was a workshop that resulted in you getting like a certification. So then you would absolutely put that on your resume and on LinkedIn. Okay, so thank you so much for your responses. Let's have a look and see. Okay, so I am calling all the ways that you can go about getting skills to put on your resume and LinkedIn, your skills stack. I think it's fun. And so basically it's like, what is all the stuff? What is in that stack of things that you have done that have contributed to you obtaining and developing and growing your skills that make you a attractive candidate on either resume or on LinkedIn? And so pretty much everything you all said is reflected here. Jobs, internships, volunteer work, absolutely, Emily. Research, someone said earlier. Student organization experience, right? Studying abroad. Your education. So the fact that you're in a degree program at UCLA, that's part of your skill stack. Relevant coursework, absolutely, when appropriate. We are highlighting that on our resume. E-learning credentials and micro-credentials that people have mentioned in the chat, simulated work experiences, micro-internships, project-based experiences, someone also mentioned that, competitions and hackathons, and then self-initiated experiences, like articles or websites. Someone mentioned a portfolio, absolutely. So this is your skill stack. I don't know if it's exhaustive, but these are all the ones that I could think of that I've heard of quite often. So hopefully this is helpful to those of you who are maybe thinking, well, it's only internships or it's only student leadership. It's all of these things. These can all go on your resume and will all look really good. Tyler, great question. I'm going to answer that really soon. So the 3 on this table that are bolded with a little star, we're going to talk about those in more detail very soon. Okay, so really quickly, just wanted to emphasize the skills stack and your resume content. This is, again, some more data from that 2021 Spring Update Job Outlook from NACE. This is how employers are responding to what they're seeing on a resume as far as what impresses them. So for example, if they were looking at 2 resumes from equally qualified candidates, this is how they might weigh the value, right, of what they're seeing on a resume. And so not surprising, the top 2 we're seeing are internship experiences. But what I want to point your attention to, particularly because it's the focus of today, is look right down at the other and see how it is 3.9. If they actually put this in numerical order like they did every other item on the list, other would be number 3. And so I looked into what other is, and it's exactly everything that we're talking about. It is demonstrating a passion and an interest in the field. It is project work. It is micro-learning, micro-credentials, all the stuff that we are going to emphasize today. And so I really found that to be so interesting that they didn't break this out, and I hope that they do in the future, because things like project-based learning, like micro-credentials, they're on the rise, and more folks are engaging with those and adding it to their skill stack. So I really think that needs to be pulled out, but I'm just glad that it was here and I could show you all that. I know, tears, study abroad is on the bottom. I can't say why that is, but my inclination is that folks maybe not be including it so much on their resume, and or how are they maximizing the impact and the relevance of it on the resume. If it's not relevant and it's not helping you, then don't put it on your resume. That applies to everything. So that's some feedback. I didn't look into like why or why not this is weighed so low, but that's what I would think. Okay, so I wanted to give you an example of that research that I encourage you all to do so that you can help yourself by figuring out, well, what skills should I focus on? So I just went onto LinkedIn like right before I looked just up for internships, and I saw one from Whoop. Whoop is like a wearable fitness technology company. And this is their talent acquisition summer internship. And so if you are not quite sure where you should start to figure out, well, what skills should I be focusing on, maybe look at positions that you're interested in applying to as a place to start. And so I encourage you all to just literally look at the boxes here. There's responsibilities and there's qualifications. Now think back to the skills lists, both the NACE and the World Economic Forum. What do you see on here that was also on those lists? And also, what do you see here that surprises you or that you would know I need to work on? So what's jumping out to you as far as skills that they're looking for on this position description? Go ahead and populate the chat for me. Tracking system surprised me. Tracking system is the technology that one needs to use to perform this role. So if you think about it that way, it was reflected on both of the lists, right? An applicant tracking system is a tool that folks in a recruiting space use. Okay, communication, teamwork, flexibility, yay! So none of this is super surprising, right? What this is telling us is that, ooh, I either have this or I need to work on getting this, and I need to demonstrate it on my resume via bullet points. Okay? And then if there's anything on here that you're not quite sure, this is, again, inspiration for you to do research, to learn more about it, to maybe get a micro credential so you can be like, I know how to do this, and you'll feel a lot more confident. A passion for Whoop. So that's them basically saying, hey, yo, if you don't tell us why you are a fan of our company, that demonstrates you did some research when you're interviewing with us or you're addressing it in your cover letter, we're not going to be impressed. And so absolutely, this applies to any company. You need to demonstrate a passion and an interest in the industry, in the field, in the product that company is in. So it might feel a little vague to you, but absolutely, especially when they're asking you, tell us about yourself, or why are you interested in this role, or why should we hire you? Always talk about what you know about the company, why you're so excited, what you feel you can value add to what they're working on. Emily gets it now. Great. Okay. So let's really quickly talk about these resources that I wanted to share with you. So number one is Parker Dewey, and this is that micro internship opportunity. So micro internships are basically really short, condensed, project-based experiences. Parker Dewey is a company that hosts them, so they allow employers to post these micro internships that they want students to work on for them, and students log on to Parker Dewey to search for and apply to them. So it's kind of like a marketplace. They are paid. Woohoo! They take about 10 to 40 hours to complete. They're open to all students. Their new projects are added often. Sometimes they're only looking for, or they would really only like to get a UCLA student to do it. So absolutely encourage you to utilize Parker Dewey. As with any of the resources that I'm going to go over with you, the benefits are pretty much all the same. It's mutually beneficial to the participant and to employers. By participating in and completing a micro internship through Parker Dewey, you as the candidate can put on your resume, you expand your experience, you explore career paths, you can both demonstrate and develop skills, you enhance your industry knowledge because you're getting an idea of what the work looks like in that space, and you optimize your chances of getting hired. That brings me to the employer side, which is employer gets stuff done that they needed to get done. But on the latter end of that is they're seeing someone demonstrate their awesomeness by actually doing the work versus just talking at them in an interview, right? So they're seeing for real that you can do this and that you're dependable, that you're a good worker, that your quality of work is great. And also, if you complete a project with a company through Parker Dewey, they are more likely to, for example, select you to do another project with them, but they're also more likely to hire you because on your resume, you might say, hey, I did a project through Parker Dewey that was sponsored by your company. That's kind of like experience that you already have working for them. So there is a link down here. Again, I'm going to include this in the email that I send out to all of you. And I'm sorry for that terrible typo, but Parker Dewey, along with the other resources I'm going to share, they all have very specific resources on how you go about including these experiences on your resume and on LinkedIn, which I think is really great, including like literally like a template and an example. But most often these are going to go under your experience section on your resume. Okay, the second one is called Forage. Forage provides simulated work experience programs. So these are self-paced, on-demand programs that are sponsored by Fortune 500 companies globally. And so what we mean by simulated work experiences, you're not actually working for the company, but they've created a content, like a curriculum for you to get to practice and see what it's like to do work that you would do there. And so these all typically take about 4 to 6 hours to complete, and they're open to anyone. This company is blowing up and they are adding new programs all the time. Again, the same reasons as Parker Dewey, why these are beneficial. Thinking about the employer side, again, what I've heard directly from Forage is that employers like to use this pool of folks that have participated in these programs to reach out to invite them to networking events or to invite them to apply to positions. The other thing is that I really love about Forge is not only do they provide super great guidance for how you can include the experience on your resume and on LinkedIn, but companies love when you post that you've completed an experience with them on LinkedIn, and I see nothing but likes and comments. So it's a really great way for you to emphasize that you are interested in and demonstrate passion for an industry or skill or job area of your choice. This you could put under experience depending upon which of the programs that you take. And so what I would do is like look at the title of the program and like what it is, and you might determine whether or not this goes under like experience or under certifications, because some of them are very learning heavy and some of them are more like straight up, this is basically like a very short experience that I had. So yes, everything that I'm sharing with you today, Parker Dewey, Forge, and LinkedIn Learning, they're free. And do students have access to it as a resource? Yes, absolutely. Again, the link is at the bottom of this slide. We've partnered with them, so they love it when UCLA students sign up, but literally Forge is open to anyone. Like your mom and dad could do a Forge program if they want to. They don't care. And I highly encourage you to go check them out. As I said, they're always adding new programs. Okay, LinkedIn Learning. So these macro and micro credentials. So as folks were mentioning, LinkedIn Learning is like the mama of e-learning. There's so many other e-learning tools out there. Coursera, I can't think of any more right now, but you know what they are. But LinkedIn Learning is one that a lot of people are aware of. They have over 16,000 self-paced, expert-led content in 7 languages. There's videos that are super short if you're just like, I don't know what this is, but I want to learn a little bit about it. There are courses, so like small bites, like micro credentials, and then there are learning packs that are like sequential courses that take a lot more time, but they are more heavily weighed as being like relevant, important, and impressive on your resume. Absolutely, these are open to anyone who has access to it. And again, I have a link on this slide to a full-on document that shows you how to access it for free as a UCLA student through the Los Angeles Library. But yeah, same as the last two. This is just great for you. It's great for employers. It's great for recruiters when they can just look at your LinkedIn profile, for example, because when you complete LinkedIn Learning, it just goes onto your profile as long as you say you want it to. And folks are familiar with LinkedIn Learning and other e-learning companies. And so when they see that on a resume and on your LinkedIn profile, they trust it. It's got a great reputation. Okay, so we're getting down to the last few minutes. I'm so sorry that we talked so much, but I think we've done a good job of having conversation throughout. And so here are a few of the awesome resources that the UCLA Career Center provides. As you can see, Parker Dewey and Forge are featured. There's so many more. And like I said, as far as tips that I have for you, please take advantage of the resources that are accessible to you. VMOC, for example, is another example of us utilizing automation. VMOC is an AI-powered resume editing tool that is accessible 24/7. And it compares you to other resumes and gives you suggestions and feedback. Absolutely, take advantage of that. One other one that I wanted to highlight on here is Interview Stream. Again, 24/7 accessible interview practicing software where you can record yourself, watch yourself, send recordings of yourself to others, and get feedback from them on how you're doing responding to questions. Okay, so I think we're at the end. I am definitely going to send out this deck. Yes, Emily, I'm going to send you guys 5,000 links to all the information that we've gone over. And I will share the link to the YouTube channel. Just again, it takes us a little bit about a week to upload all of the events from the week prior. So I'll remind you about that in the email. But please absolutely continue to engage with us, engage with the UCLA Career Center. Here's all the ways that you can contact and interact with us. please connect with me. And I'm happy to stay a little bit longer to take questions. But probably like right at the hour mark, I'll just stop the recording. But oh, Emily, that's so nice. Thank you. If you could clap, thanks for all your help. I am so glad that at least one person, hopefully more of you found this helpful. Good, it makes me feel good. So going back up to, I see at least one question from Sarah. How many skills do we list on a job application? Really great question. It's not necessarily about how many skills, but it's how well are you addressing what the position description is asking for. So think about less quantity, think about quality and what's relevant. And if they're asking for boom, 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 then how are you reflecting on your resume? Does that make sense? I appreciate all of the thank yous. Yes, thank you to everyone for attending. If you have more questions, I'm just going to stop the recording and see if people want to stick around in the chat. But also, I encourage you all to, again, like connect with the Career Center, book those appointments through Handshake, come to drop-ins. They're Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That link right there on the slide, the undergraduate virtual services, you literally have to go to this webpage to get the Zoom link to get into our drop-ins. But that's where we can help you with the job and internship search and your resume and cover letter. And then question real quickly, is there a website or source we could use to build our resume? Ooh, okay, real quickly, the career guide, which you can access through our website, or literally just search for UCLA Career Center Career Guide. It has templates, bullet point building tools, worksheets that you can do. And then maybe when you're ready, come to drop-ins, also utilize VMock so that you can upload your doc into it, and it might give you some suggestions for improvement. Those are the real quick ones, but as I'm seeing that these questions come up, I'll try and pop a few of those links also into my follow-up email. All right, so thank you again for everyone for attending. I'm going to stop recording. I hope you all have a great rest of the quarter, a great rest of the week. And don't forget what we talked about as far as mindset and self-care. Apply it to everything.